Hello, my name is Mike from CP Feeds, and we're getting closer and closer to our corn silage. 'Tis the season here. Just like to go over a few tips here since we're that close to corn silage here beginning of August. We've got all of our crop out there. It's looking really nice, and we like to plan ahead of time, of course, on what we're going to be doing on our bunkers. And I just like to go over a few tips with you as we get started here. We want our corn silage 100% usable as we go through, because it takes us a year to get through all the corn silage we make in about 1 to 2 weeks. First of all, these walls are looking fairly good yet, but one thing that I like to do on a bunker is take a look at the walls and see if they're pitted or not. And if they're kind of pitted, I'd like to line those bunkers with plastic. It really helps us in the future, especially when you get into that spring, summer months next year, because our water just loves to run down that bunker and seep right through there. And if we got a layer of plastic in between the bunker wall and the corn silage, we just save a lot of feed there. So as we look at trying to save as much as we can, first of all, as we get it in, we need to choose our inoculants wisely. I know that milk price is not where we want it to be this year. Of course, it probably never will be. But we always recommend using a Buchner product, especially if we're driving into that corn silage pile immediately, because it seems like our corn silage will be more available and feed better for us right away the first 60 days. And as we are bringing that in, we want to make sure that we are using our math correctly and having our tonnage coming in with our packing tractor. So our rule of thumb would be 1 ton for every 800 pounds of packing tractor. So if you're bringing in 100 ton, you definitely want to make sure you take that 100 ton times your 800 pounds, figure out how many pounds of packing tractor you need so you get a good layer or a good packing out there. It always seems like that is an excellent rule of thumb, because I can always get into the 20s, 23, 24 pounds of dry matter per cubic foot when I do that. As you can see, this bunker here is definitely in the mid-20s. And the other thing too is we want to make sure that we have a good ramp. Always a good rule of thumb is to have that 3 to 1. For every foot of height, you want 3 feet of length, because otherwise we're just not going to get the pack we need on that ramp. But your tires are always slipping and you're not packing what you need. And the other thing is, make sure you got that 6 inches of layer. If you got a lot of loads in there, those boys are just going to have to slow down and bring it in, and you pack that feed on layers of 6 inches or less, because that really helps as well. So, and then of course, when we got our bunker full, we think, yes, we're all done with that, and cover it up. And lo and behold, we open it up in spring or early fall or winter, wherever we're opening it up, and we open it up and it's all good. But then we get into it on the ramp and get a little bit further up there, and we go, man, how come we got this mold up here? What's going on? So a lot of it has to do with our packing of that product, but up on top, we just can't seem to get a lot of packing going on unless you got some really wet stuff. But if you're finishing up, it's usually more on the drier side. But got to take a look at one extra step that I'd like to throw into the mix here that we rarely do, and that's putting an oxygen scavenger product on the top that we actually spray on. It's a product that it's a lactic acid product, and normally what we do is we're mixing 100 gallons of water to this 1 pail of oxygen scavenger product, And we will eliminate a lot of that mold that's on top, because we just can't control that in the summertime. We're just cutting that plastic back. And I just did a bunker the other day of some haylage, and you go back 5 feet and the mold is starting to develop. You go back 10 feet and it's not there. So if we put an oxygen scavenger on that top layer, just take that extra step, that's going to save us tons of forage on the top there. And we have all these other people that are trying to feed off this bunker, and they rarely want to go up there and take it off, because when you get a bunker like this, who wants to get within 5 feet of that face? You get 5 feet within that face, and it's too dangerous. So spending an extra few dollars on an oxygen scavenger and just taking that time before we cover that up and calling it good is really well worth the effort. So with that said, some of the key points here, we want to take a look at making that ramp 3 to 1, and then your every ton per hour of forage that's coming in, 800 pounds of packing tractor, and lining those walls to keep that water out, and making sure your oxygen scavenger is on top. Those are the things that I would say are key points that we all should focus on this year, so we all can get good corn silage. And with that, have a safe and happy harvest.